Hello. This week in the Unit 2 journal entry, we are supposed to be talking about an interaction where there was transference, countertransference, prejudice, biases, or judgments that we were making about patients. I actually did my SOAP note this week on a patient that I think that there could have been transference in. The patient was a 13-year-old female child who had recently been started on a stimulant for her ADHD. She has been struggling just with some hyperactivity and just paying attention in class and things like that since early elementary school, early to mid elementary school. And in this particular instance, her parents held off to start a stimulant due to just wanting to see and kind of wait it out. However, her grades began to really take a tumble in middle school. She's age 13. And she started the stimulant, and she really isn't noticing any effects or any difference in how she is studying, feeling, etc. She's been on the medication about 3 months. As a general rule, there hasn't been any type of impact to her appetite either, and she hasn't developed any of the side effects or the irritability or anything that comes along with sometimes coming off of a stimulant in the evening. So the reason that this applies to me is that I have a daughter very, very close to her age group, and she happens to, like I said, is a female, so I identified a lot with this little girl in that I have several children, but this one in particular, I have always kind of questioned, and she's actually been diagnosed with ADHD by her pediatrician, but at the time I chose not to do a stimulant because she was fairly young, and I was just concerned, even though it is a first-line treatment, I was just concerned about long-term effects because there are conflicting studies on studies that have been done on rats and studies that have been done just on studies of people being on stimulants for long periods of time and just through puberty and everything. And for me, this was a pretty significant concern to put my daughter on that, just kind of letting the risks outweigh the benefits for me in particular. And for this patient encounter, I had to be very careful not to let my own personal feelings guide what the suggestion is for the first-line treatment. And in this instance, obviously, I wasn't making the judgment call, but the provider put her on Adderall, 10 milligrams, which is a fairly low dosage, and the patient hasn't noticed that there is any type of change. And so at this visit, she actually increased the stimulant. And then obviously just educated in sleep hygiene and things like that that could be affected, and appetite and when to eat and so on and so forth. For me, I could see how if I was in this role particularly and I was in charge of making that judgment call, I would like to think that I would have gone ahead and gone forward with what it was that the mother wanted to do. And I think how I could just present it as to what all the studies show, and it is recommended as a first-line treatment, and explain that process and just what risks and benefits are, and then just ultimately at the end of the day, let the patient and patient parents know what all things are out there available to them, and let them make an educated decision along with me. And I think that I could be effective in not letting my own personal feelings about the situation get involved, as I do see the benefit in many of these patients that are on stimulants. So that is my patient interaction and how I could be concerned with transference and how I would react. Thank you. Bye-bye.